Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Daily News Roundup. We've got a really full show for you all today.
It is jam-packed.
Yeah, we've got stories from all over the world, so let's get right into it.
Sounds good.
Okay, well, let's start with this trade war that seems to be brewing between the U.S. and Canada.
Oh, yeah.
The U.S. has imposed these new tariffs on Canadian goods.
Right, and it's causing some tension for sure.
Yeah, it seems like.
On both sides.
Yeah, on both sides of the border.
Yeah, we're seeing Canadian fans expressing their displeasure, even at, sporting events.
Yeah.
Like, they're booing the U.S. national anthem.
Wow.
Which is,
That's a statement for sure.
yeah, it's quite a statement.
And then, you see things like even Canadian grocery stores are labeling their products to encourage people to buy local.
Right, yeah, it's like a Choose Canada movement, almost.
Yeah, exactly.
It's interesting to see how these, political decisions
Right.
really trickle down to everyday life,
Right.
consumer choices and all that.
Absolutely. And so speaking of global powers,
Mm-hmm.
the U.S. is also putting pressure on Panama to limit China's influence over the Panama Canal, which, is interesting considering this is kind of,
It's a delicate situation.
yeah, and kind of reminds us of Trump's past rhetoric about retaking the canal.
Right. Yeah.
So very interesting.
Panama's in a tough spot,
Yeah,
trying to walk that line
Yeah.
between these two global superpowers
exactly.
and assert their own sovereignty at the same time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, let's shift gears a little bit and talk about Bill Gates.
Okay.
He's making headlines not just for his philanthropy,
Right.
but also for revealing that he believes he might be on the autism spectrum.
Yeah. That was a big revelation.
Yeah, and it's sparking a lot of conversation about neurodiversity,
Absolutely.
especially in the tech world.
Particularly in the tech world, I think it could really challenge perceptions
Right.
and
Hey,
highlight the different strengths
Right.
that come with different ways of thinking.
And he's always been known for his unique approach, even going back to when he was a kid.
Right.
Remember that story about how he used to climb out of his bedroom window to get more computer time?
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that speaks to his persistence and his unconventional thinking.
Exactly. And, those traits are often associated with autism.
Right.
So it's really a fascinating perspective.
Absolutely. And, he also weighed in on the debate about social media's impact on young people.
He did.
He expressed support for potential bans for kids under 16.
Wow. So strong words from someone who, helped shape the digital age.
Right.
It really raises questions about the responsibility
Sure, sure.
of these tech giants and, what needs to be done
Yeah, the regulations.
to protect these young users.
Yeah, sure. All right, well, let's move on to a lighter topic.
Okay. Sounds good.
The Grammys
The Grammys.
is a night of celebration, but also a lot of really powerful statements made.
It was
Beyoncé winning Best Country Album
huge.
after being snubbed by the Country Music Awards.
Big win for her.
Yeah, and then we saw other artists like Lady Gaga and Chappell Roan use their platform to advocate for LGBTQ plus rights and fair pay in the music industry.
Right.
And Doechie's speech was really inspiring after winning Best Rap Album.
Yeah, she talked a lot about representation.
Yes, very powerful.
It seems like the Grammys are becoming more of a platform
Yeah.
for social commentary these days.
Absolutely. Well, unfortunately, we have to talk about this tragic mid-air collision in Washington, D.C.
Oh, yeah.
A military helicopter and a passenger plane collided.
It's awful.
It's raising concerns about air traffic control, staffing shortages in the U.S.
Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
a very stark reminder of how important air safety is.
Yeah, investigations are ongoing, but it just raises so many questions.
It does.
Of understaffing,
Yeah,
Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy is calling for immediate action.
right.
He was questioning why the helicopter was even flying through such a busy airspace.
Right. Yeah, this incident really points to this broader issue
Hmm.
of infrastructure and staffing shortages
Mhm.
and the potential impact that can have on public safety.
Absolutely. Well, on a more hopeful note, we're hearing these incredible stories of resilience from the hostages who returned from Gaza
Yeah.
after being held captive by Hamas.
It's really inspiring to hear their strength
I know, it's amazing.
and their determination.
It really is.
These individuals endured just unimaginable hardship,
Right.
and they still emerged with this remarkable spirit.
Yeah. One of the hostages, Gadi Moses,
Okay.
he walked up to 11 kilometers every single day
Wow.
in his room, and he did mental math exercises just to keep his mind sharp.
Wow. That's incredible.
It's amazing.
It really speaks to the coping mechanisms that we have and the power of the human spirit to persevere even in the darkest of times.
Absolutely. Well, let's shift gears again and talk about Greece.
Okay.
They've had some increased seismic activity on the island of Santorini.
Oh, right.
which has prompted school closures and cautionary measures.
Yeah, Santorini's location on a volcanic arc makes it really prone to earthquakes. So while the recent tremors haven't been that serious,
Right.
authorities are taking precautions.
Which is good.
Yeah, it's smart.
It really shows how unpredictable our planet can be
It does.
and the importance of disaster preparedness.
For sure.
And speaking of unpredictable events, this air ambulance crash in Philadelphia is just heartbreaking.
It is.
7 lives were lost,
Yeah, a mother and daughter.
including a mother and daughter who were traveling for medical treatment.
It's just awful.
Just a reminder of how fragile life is.
Yeah.
Right? And the investigation is still ongoing.
It is, but it really underscores the importance of safety protocols in these specialized aviation sectors like air ambulances.
Absolutely. So in Germany, there have been these massive protests
Oh, yeah.
in response to the Christian Democratic Union
Mm-hmm.
collaborating with the far-right Alternative for Germany,
The AFD.
the AFD,
Yeah.
which is very controversial
Yeah.
because it kind of breaks this long-standing taboo,
Huge taboo.
in German politics against working with far-right parties.
Right, because of the country's history.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a really sensitive issue.
It is. And a lot of people are seeing this as a dangerous shift.
Yeah.
And they're worried about the potential erosion of democratic
For
values.
sure, it'll be really interesting
Yeah.
to see how this all plays out.
Especially as Germany is headed towards elections.
Exactly.
Okay, well, let's take a little break from the serious news
Okay.
and talk about Punxsutawney Phil.
Punxsutawney Phil. Oh, yeah, Groundhog Day.
Groundhog Day, he has spoken.
Did he see a shadow?
He did,
Oh, no.
which means 6 more weeks of winter.
Oh, sorry to everyone hoping for an early spring.
I know, I know.
Well, it's a fun tradition.
It is.
It's nice to have a little whimsy.
A little lightheartedness.
Yeah, in the news cycle.
Absolutely. So Bill Gates' revelation about possibly being on the autism spectrum,
Mm,
it's been met with some mixed reactions.
understandably so.
Yeah.
I mean, while a lot of people applaud his openness,
Right.
there are some who worry that it could be misinterpreted
Mhm.
or even used to kind of downplay the challenges
Right.
that people with autism face.
Yeah, it's a good reminder that everybody's experience with autism is different.
Absolutely.
And we really need to listen to all the diverse voices in the community.
For sure.
So there's this story that's been gaining some traction
Okay.
about this secretive Christian sect in the U.S.
Okay.
that's allegedly coercing young mothers into giving up their babies for adoption.
Oh, wow.
Former members are sharing these really disturbing accounts
Yeah.
of pressure and threats.
That's awful.
They were basically forced to surrender their children,
Wow.
and there wasn't even proper vetting of the adoptive families.
That's really concerning.
It raises concerns about the abuse of power within religious institutions
For sure.
and the need for transparency and accountability.
To protect vulnerable individuals.
Exactly. Well, let's shift our focus now to the conflict in the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Okay.
The M23 rebel group has taken control of these key mining areas.
That's not good.
No. It's concerning because the DRC is a major source of tantalum, which is a rare metal that's really essential.
In our electronics.
Yeah, smartphones, other electronics.
Right.
So the fact that the M23 now controls these mines,
Yeah. That's a big
it raises the risk of human rights abuses
Absolutely.
and the potential for conflict minerals to end up in our devices.
It's a tough situation.
It is. It really underscores how interconnected these global supply chains are
Yeah.
and the ethical dilemmas that we as consumers face.
For sure, we need to be demanding greater transparency
Absolutely.
from the companies that we buy from
Yes.
to make sure that they're sourcing materials responsibly and ethically.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of taking control,
Okay.
the concept of living wills is gaining more traction worldwide.
Yeah, that's interesting.
People are being more proactive about their end-of-life choices.
Yeah.
They want to make sure that their wishes are respected, even if they're no longer able to communicate them.
Right. It's all about empowering individuals
Yes.
to make healthcare decisions that align with their values.
Yeah. And it's also sparking a lot of important conversations
It is.
about death and dying.
Mm-hmm. It's a topic that people tend to avoid.
Yeah. It can be uncomfortable.
But it's so important to have those discussions
Absolutely.
openly and honestly.
For sure. So remember earlier we talked about Greenland
Yes.
and Trump's interest in acquiring it?
Right?
Well, there's a much deeper story there.
Okay.
Greenland is really grappling with its identity. and its relationship with Denmark.
It's a complicated history.
It is. There's this growing independence movement
Okay.
that's fueled by this desire for self-determination
Yeah.
and also a reckoning with their colonial past.
Right.
It's really a fascinating case study
It is.
about the complexities of national
Yeah.
identity
Yeah,
and the quest for sovereignty in this rapidly changing world.
for sure.
All right, so let's finish up with a couple more stories
Yeah, sounds good.
that really highlight kind of like the intersection of business and technology and global affairs.
Okay.
The U.S. space program has some new leadership.
Oh, okay.
Billionaire businessman Jared Isaacman has been appointed as the head of NASA.
Interesting choice.
It's pretty unconventional, and it's sparked a lot of debate.
I bet. Yeah, he's known for being pretty ambitious
He is,
with his vision for space travel.
yeah, making it more accessible, and he's a big supporter of private sector involvement.
Right.
So some people are concerned about potential conflicts of interest,
Oh, yeah, I can see that.
especially given his ties to SpaceX.
Right.
But, he does have a history of achieving these really ambitious goals.
He does. It'll be interesting to see what he does.
Yeah, how his leadership changes NASA and influences the future of space exploration.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so let's bring it back to these global trade tensions.
Okay.
What do these tariffs and these economic disputes actually mean for everyday people?
Yeah, it's easy to get lost in all these abstract discussions, but the consequences are real.
Yeah.
I mean, some economists are predicting that if these tariffs continue, Canada could actually go into a recession,
Wow.
which means, job losses,
Yeah.
rising prices,
Right.
decline in economic well-being.
Yeah. It's crazy how these decisions by world leaders.
Right. They have a direct impact
Yeah. A direct impact.
on people's lives.
For sure. And it just shows how interconnected the global economy is.
Exactly what one country does
Right.
affects everyone else.
It really does. Well, it's been a lot of news today,
It has.
but hopefully everyone found it informative and engaging.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us for the Daily News Roundup.
Until next time,
Yeah.
stay curious, stay connected, and stay informed.